For people who are considering, should I adopt Playwright? I would say if you are
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of this podcast named Pláticas detrás del código. Today, we have a special guest with us. He's a recognized tech influencer, and if you are a software tester, I'm pretty sure you already know who I'm talking about. Testers, let me introduce you to Andrew Knight, better known as Pandy Knight, the Automation Panda. Welcome, Andrew. Thank you for
Hello.
accepting this invitation.
Thanks for inviting me, Guillermo. How's it going?
It's pretty well. Thank you. How about you?
I'm surviving. Work is work.
I think that's the best answer for every question like this one. Okay, so could you please tell the audience who is Pandy Knight?
Absolutely. So, uh, I do software things. I try to do them well. Sometimes it works. Oh gosh. So, I mean, ever since I was a teenager, I knew I wanted to pursue software development, programming. I remember from the very first calculator programs on my TI 83 Plus, making little math formulas and games, thinking it was the coolest thing ever. I never would have imagined I would have ended up primarily in software testing and automation. But, when I graduated college, I had a computer science degree, and that's just where the opportunities led, right? I graduated shortly after Great Recession. There weren't a whole lot of jobs, but there were jobs in testing and automation. So that's where I went. For about a decade, I was your rank and file software engineer and test, building solutions to testing problems. I hopped many companies because that's how we do it in tech. But I always had that consistent thread of testing all throughout. And so I went from pipsqueak to mid-level to senior to staff level-ish, principal-ish, whatever your ranges are. I went from it was like a Pokemon, like you're the little tiny one, and then you're the middle-sized one, and then you're like this huge monster, Charizard, kill everything, right? So that was like a decade. And so there was a lot of growth for me in that time. And that's where I really became who is known as the Automation Panda, right? Then I took a brief stint in developer relations because apparently people like to hear me talk. And I would go around the world and talk to people and run workshops and all. I was at Applitools, so I did DevRel for them. And I also was the director of Test Automation University, which I'm sure many people have heard of.
Mhm.
And then for a year now, I've been at a company called Cycle Labs. They're in my hometown of Raleigh, North Carolina, and we build a test automation platform that primarily targets supply chain and warehouse management systems. So you imagine all the little bots running around the Amazon warehouse. We make sure all that works for all the companies. And my current role is I am the senior director of product management, which is strange for me because I never would have predicted I'd be a product manager. But it's essentially a position where I can decide what we build at Cycle Labs to go into our platform, which is just a meta way of saying I'm still building solutions to testing problems.
That,
So
that,
that's me.
that's wow. That's pretty impressive. I think that in your professional career, you had to be involved in different areas regarding to the software, right? So maybe
Mhm.
that provides you a lot of experience when you working in a new project or implementing a new process. So that kind of experience it's very valuable.
One could say.
Well, actually, you are considered a tech influencer in the QA community. And what makes you feel that way? And how do you think your contributions positively impact people who want to learn more about QA topics?
Oh, yeah. The title influencer feels kind of weird. It almost feels dirty. Like, what am I? Some sort of TikTok grifter? Oh, no, no. But it's interesting because again, this is not something I would have predicted that happened. I didn't set out with a goal to say I'm going to have so many followers and all this stuff. I'm going to speak at all these conferences and right. I mean, where it really started for me was I I felt like I knew what I was talking about.
Mhm.
You know, back in 2016, late 2016, I had just taken a job at a new company. It was the first time I had ever gotten a senior level title. So I felt like this is a big moment in my career. You know, this was 6 years post my college graduation, so like 6 years officially in the industry, and I attained senior level. And I was kind of asking myself, like, what's next, right? This was the third company I had jumped to. And I noticed a trend that at every company, I was always the guy who would write the internal wiki pages, right? Redocumenting everything that I had always learned. And for some reason, I just got slapped with that because that's what you do. You get the younger kid, you go write the documentation for the team.
Yes.
And I realized that a lot of what I was writing was not even company specific. You know, I was writing about how to write good tests. What is BDD? How do you write good Gherkin? How do you set up a test project? And I'm like, I don't like losing that information every time I move company.
Mhm.
Why don't I write a blog? And that's where Automation Panda came from, or automationpanda.com. That was the domain name I registered. I pulled that one out of the air. I'm like, name myself after a vegetable or an animal that everybody loves. Everybody loves pandas. I love pandas. Let's be the Automation Panda. And I spent 2017 just writing blog articles and
Okay.
writing content that I cared about because it was honestly meant to be my personal journal for Andy Knight to help future Andy Knight. So rather than rewrite the same page, I could shoot a link and be like, well, it's not company proprietary. Here you go. Right. And I just wrote because I find that I like writing, especially writing more than speaking. I tend to fumble my words when I speak, but when I write, I feel I can be more eloquent. This is before ChatGPT, right? Right. And it was really that I had this burning, and through that, I realized I had this burning passion inside that I felt like, hey, I have a novel expertise here in this space that I don't see in a lot of places. There are other people who have this. I'm not like the only person in the world who knows these things. But you go to a new team and you're a new organization, and all of a sudden I am the one who has the expertise on these matters that other people don't have. And other people have expertise that I don't have. So maybe I should find a better way to share my expertise, right?
Right.
And that's really where it started. And so now that I was writing more public content, you know, over the course of 2017, I remember the early days. It was like, if I got 100 hits on my blog in the span of a month, that was incredible, right? But eventually SEO kicked in, and I was writing unique things that people hadn't been saying or writing before, and my SEO went up. And next thing I know, like from one month to another, it was like 100 hits a month to 1,000 hits a month. What happened, right? That then morphed into speaking because it was like, hey, you know, maybe I can go to a tech conference and maybe I can even talk. And that went really well, and I like that. And I met cool people, and I got super inspired. So I'm like, let me just keep doing this. And so it snowballs because then it's no longer that I'm applying to or submitting to CFPs for events, but people and companies are coming to me being like, can you speak here? Can you do this? And I'm like, oh. And then what I found is that a lot of us who are in whatever tech space, whether it's testing or Python or Kubernetes, or right, there's this group of individuals who are kind of like me in this regard of we were passionate about a thing, we knew things about a thing, we started developing content about a thing, and then we became well known about a thing because that's just how that goes. And that's been really cool to become part of that group in the testing space and also in the Python space, you know. So that's so yeah, it's weird to think of it as like, oh, I'm an influencer, but I guess people are finding value in the things I'm sharing, which is great because it feels great to help people, right?
Yes, totally.
You know, I remember many a time in my career being stuck on something. Being stuck is no fun. I don't like it. And I don't want other people to suffer that. If I have found a way to do something, then if I can put it out there in like a little blog article or maybe a conference talk and somebody picks it up and they get unstuck, sweet, we've helped the world.
Yes. And actually, trust me, been there because when I start my career, Also, I faced a lot of blockers because
Mm.
I have a lack of knowledge at the beginning. Obviously,
Mm.
I was I was starting with no guidance, with no
Mm.
mentor assigned to me. So when I started to learn about a lot of things related to QA, I want to share this knowledge with the people because uh,
Mm.
I have this idea about like you mentioned before, support people to avoid facing blockers, to
Yeah.
keep learning more about things. So inspire
Mhm.
people by sharing knowledge is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's cool when you get that closed loop of something you put out there help somebody and then they come back and let you know. That's always very rewarding too. Like, oh, hey, I read your article and it got me through this problem. Thank you so much. It's like, oh, you're welcome.
Yes, exactly. Actually, I also create some videos regarding to any kind of QA topic, test automation or QA processes, and I receive messages from people who tell me that my video helped them to for their new job,
Mm.
to get a new job, or just to understand topics that it was
Hmm.
a yes, a blocker for them. So it's really really
Yeah.
really great to hear that. And also I heard that you are a playwright ambassador, that which is really great. Actually hope to be one of those ambassadors someday. But right now I want to ask you, as a playwright ambassador, how do you see playwright evolving over the next 5 years, for example?
Ooh, that is a great question.
What's
Hmm.
the future of playwright? Because right now it's a trending tool that it's having a good acceptance for all the testers, and
Yes.
it's bringing a positive impact.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I think Playwright is a phenomenal tool for web testing. I say this as somebody who previously had spent several years as essentially as a Selenium developer, right? Even right now in my current project in my current company, I'm doing stuff with Selenium. So I have a long history with Selenium. Oh my goodness. But I feel like Playwright as a full all-in-one web test framework is just stellar. The first time I picked up Playwright, within about a day of just using, I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been craving for so many years. Things like the automatic weighting built in, the speed, the fact that
Yes.
as I'm writing along with the Playwright syntax, the calls, it flows naturally with how I think of web interaction, right? You're saying, like, hey, page, locator, put in your selector, do some interaction, and it just rolls with me. Expect this particular aspect of the page to meet some condition, and all the web first assertion is there for you. So you don't have, it's not just waiting exclusively for, let's say, the thing to appear, but actually waiting for it to meet the condition. So all the race conditions are handled beautifully. It was like, wow, and the fact that this is also, it has bindings in all the major languages for test automation. I very much am a Python person at heart. I love Python. I couldn't use Cypress in Python. Very sad, right? But I can use Playwright in Python. Oh yeah, right. um, and so where is Playwright going in the next 5 years? I can't say with any certainty, because as an ambassador, I need to qualify, I'm not part of the Playwright team, right?
Yeah.
There's a Playwright team of developers within Microsoft. They're in the same division as the tools and developer experience, the same division that brings you VS Code, TypeScript, all that kind of stuff. That's where the team for Playwright lives. And their full job is, all right, we have a backlog, we have a roadmap, and we're going to try to grind through features to bring people value. I'm not a part of that. I talk with those guys and girls. I know them. They know me. We like each other very much, right? But I am not contributing code to Playwright. I prefer to think of myself as Playwright's #1 fanboy, right? And I've been with that journey for quite a while now. So what I say would be speculative. I don't have any secret knowledge or
Mhm.
insider information,
Mhm.
but right off the bat, I think Playwright is here to stay.
Yes,
Right.
totally agree.
Like there have been web tools that have come and gone, like Protractor. Like, I mean, well, no, Puppeteer's still around, but like Protractor is a very good example. It was an earlier kind of tool where Google's like, hey, we need to do something for Angular for end-to-end testing, and it was cool for a while. A lot of people used it, and then it got surpassed by other things, and now it's dead. Right. The adoption for Playwright has been rather expedient because I believe its feature set is phenomenal. And also, I believe it solves the web testing problem arguably better than Cypress does. Right? Cypress is trapped in the browser. Playwright is external to the browser. Playwright is a lot faster because it uses debug protocols. Playwright is trying to support the multiple languages, whereas Cypress is trapped in the browser, therefore trapped in JavaScript. And so teams that have been using Selenium and Selenium-based projects like Selenide or WebDriver IO, like that whole, when I say Selenium, I mean all of that, right? A lot of those projects historically, like people had no choice but to use Selenium, and they didn't always have the experience to use it right because it's a very low-level API. You need to know what you're doing with Selenium, or else what happens? Flaky tests. Selenium is not flaky. The tests you write with Selenium are flaky because you didn't do your race. You didn't handle your race conditions, meaning you flaked out. And Selenium will not stop you, right? You could argue that that is a developer experience fault in Selenium. The retort to that view is like, well, you shouldn't be using raw Selenium. You shouldn't, but guess what people are doing by and large, right? And so a lot of teams that have been burned by that, for better or worse, I'm not saying it's Selenium's fault. I'm just saying like that's the nature of what happened. We look at history. Yes. Those teams were very hesitant to move to Cypress. What they saw in Playwright was something much more similar to what they already had and knew, and therefore they're much more willing to jump. And that's why we're seeing a big spike up. I do know that all throughout Microsoft, pretty much anybody doing web testing is using Playwright. That's just what Microsoft does internally. So even if Playwright exists merely as Microsoft's internal web testing tool, like it's here to stay, right? Yeah. I don't think Microsoft is going to wake up one day and be like, nope, we're killing this project. No, it's Playwright has proven its value and its popularity, and Microsoft is eating their own dog food. Exactly. So what I would expect of Playwright is I would expect to see them continuing to refine the open source offering, adding more features to the library for all the different calls you can make, trying to find better ways to improve that UI mode that they've got, maybe some more advanced or intelligent features in the test execution. I would also see, apart from the open source projects, different vendors, Microsoft included, providing execution platforms for your Playwright tests. We're already starting to see it. I think it's going to be like all the WebDriver as a service companies like Sauce Labs and BrowserStack who we've seen. Those who don't do a Playwright execution environment are going to be the ones left out, right? And I think we're going to see some interesting things because the compute power to run a Playwright test equivalent to a Selenium test will be much lower, right? Because of the way they've engineered things. I mean, I don't know if Playwright is going to be crazy different from what it is today, right? I feel like in the first few years of the project, there was some storming and forming around their syntax and what the calls should be. I feel like they've kind of figured it out and settled, right? There haven't been those kinds of upheavals. I would be surprised if there were any kinds of upheavals. So yeah, I mean, I don't see major changes to what we know and think of as Playwright, but rather I see changes in the ecosystem around it, I guess.
That's a great answer, and actually, I also hope to see great and new features in the upcoming years. So let's wait for that. And what recommendations do you have for people who want to learn more about Playwright, or people who want to start with Playwright to adopt Playwright?
Sure. So for people who are considering, should I adopt Playwright? I would say if you are starting a web test project from scratch right now, most likely my recommendation would be yes, use Playwright. If you're not tied down by any sort of tech debt or historical reasons, there are very few reasons I could imagine not to use Playwright. The only times I would say don't use Playwright is if for some reason you have some compliance or some business rule that you absolutely have to test on all the major full browsers, because Playwright tests browser projects versus full browsers. Though it can test full Chrome and full Edge, but it can't do full Safari. Whoop-de-doo, right? There's the edge cases that you would hit for those kinds of things. Like I've heard of one bug once upon a time that may have not been caught, but I don't want to go to war with the over that, because there are opinions out there of like, no, well, that's not true. Browser test. I don't want to get into that. I would say for the majority of people doing web development, Playwright is going to be all they need for their end-to-end web testing needs. So if teams already have some sort of web testing project, like maybe they have an old school Selenium Java solution, maybe they have a huge Cypress project. My answer is not, oh, you should abandon that and migrate over and move over. What I would suggest to them is ask them, hey, what problems are you having with your current web test automation projects? Are you having any, or is it working great? Because if things are working well enough, it might not be worth the hassle of doing some sort of migration over. Right. But if you are having problems, such as your tests are taking way too long to run, or your tests are regularly flaking out because waiting is not being handled appropriately. When your benchmark of a good day's run is like 90% passing and 10% flake, that's a bad day. For me, a bad day is 0.01% flake. Right? Not 10% flake, but I've seen, again, across industries, across teams, fairly typically in the real world, 10% flake is considered average and normal. And to me, that's abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. If you're having that problem, you can either try to go fix your existing project. Is probably too pervasive and too spaghetti to unwind that mess, and it might not be worth it. Or like if your tests are just too slow, like if you're doing Cypress single threaded and you're not willing to pay for that cloud, then it's like Playwright itself is just inherently faster. So yeah, and maybe move over. So if you've come to the decision that you want to use Playwright, what resources do you have? Best resource I can recommend for getting started, Test Automation University, Playwright Learning Path. My friend in the space, Hanada, she has developed the intro and advanced Playwright courses for
Awesome.
TAU. A free online course, video-based with transcript and quiz. And her production quality was excellent. When we published that course together, it was when I was still at Apple Tools. I was really proud of the job she did. She was amazing. And so I recommend that course. Like, you want to learn Playwright? Boom. Other resource, join the Playwright Discord, because that's the way to stay plugged into the Playwright community. You can get all the updates that come from the Playwright team. You can get, the official like tutorial videos and stuff from Debbie, who is the Playwright developer advocate / program manager. She does all sorts of content as well. You just ask people in the community, hey, I'm stuck on this thing. I get people all the time slide into my Twitter DMs like, hey, Andy, can you help me with this very complex technical thing in Playwright? I'm like, no, go to Discord, please. I'm sorry. Like that's yeah. If it's something small, I can help, but if it's like deep, I'm like, I don't have the capacity, and you got me stuck too, friend. I'm sorry. So that's what I would say is like, and with Playwright's explosive popularity all the time, there are more influencers developing content around Playwright. There's more people than ever in the Discord willing to help. There's more answers on Stack Overflow. Right. And so we're starting to hit that point of critical mass of help is out there, so that's really cool to see.
Yes, and that's a great advice. Actually, I'm going to take that course that you mentioned. Thank you for that. And something that I really like from Playwright is the documentation. It's very complete. It's very clear. And actually, I read that documentation and I noticed the whole testing types that I can cover right now. So that's a good solution if you don't want to have many different yes, many different technologies in the
Mm,
same project, right? Because with Playwright you can cover API testing, well, UI,
mhm,
mobile, because it simulate different responsive modes. And yes, that's a great option, just to have a tech stack with just one
mhm,
tool, or maybe with less tool, by covering
mhm.
most of the testing types with Playwright.
Yeah, I love it. Um,
Eh,
well, what you're saying about the documentation is also really good. Whenever I give my Playwright tutorials, I give them at different events a couple times a year. Most notably at Star East and Star West in the United States. So if anybody wants to come get my Playwright tutorial, you know where to find it. Um, anyway, there's inevitably somebody in the tutorial session who asked me a question that I don't know the answer to. And so whenever that happens, I say, I don't know. Let's look at the docs. And I pull up playwright.dev. And usually I do my workshops in TypeScript because that's what most people use. I go to the TypeScript docs and I start searching around live while the tutorial's going so that people can see not only like how you go about and find the answer, because inevitably we always figure it out from the docs, right? Because the docs are good. They see that, oh yes, the Playwright docs are good, they're there, they learn how to navigate, but then they also learn it's okay to be humble. Like here I am, I'm like Playwright ambassador #1. I'm known around the world, I do this workshop all the time, but I'm real with people. Is like, I don't know everything. You know, they're pushing out new releases every month or two. I don't keep up with it. There's so much going in there that I don't have a pulse on. And it's, you know what, it's okay. Right. So if there is something that we don't know, it's okay to admit that we don't know, and then to go follow up by figuring it out together.
Yes, and actually, as you said, not all the ambassadors, and actually, I think that even the developers can know everything. It's because of that the documentation is there, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to learn, or you don't need to know everything about that tool.
Mm-hmm.
But if the tool is very well documented, you can go over there and find a solution, right? And that's really great. And additional, if you discover tutorials, good tutorials or good content related to Playwright, to their features, whatever, it will be a very good complement. And actually, I saw the Let the Code Speak series by Applitools.
Oh
And
yeah.
yes, and I really love it. Those videos were very helpful to
Mm.
compare different frameworks, right? To
Mm-hmm.
understand which framework can provide a better solution. I don't know, where can we find more content like that?
Well, that particular video series for an Applitools was kind of like a once in a generation thing. I think I haven't seen other people doing that.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have a bit of a nuanced perspective on that because on one hand, at a very surface level, it was cool to have experts line up and kind of duke it out over these things and show this is what this does, this is what that does. I want to make it clear, it was not an angry competition. There was no bitter rivalry. Everybody were friends. It was played up to be a battle. It wasn't really a battle, but we did let people vote. You know, that was legit. That was not rigged. That was not fake. People actually voted. Um, and so it was I've heard from a lot of people that they really enjoyed the series because it was hype
Yes.
and because it actually showed differences, because at that time, you know, Playwright was brand new and Cypress was arguably still pretty new too. I mean, this was 2001, 2002, you know, so I mean, Cypress had been around for a little bit. It had claimed a port on the market, but Playwright was still very, very new, and so people didn't really know. And I think in retrospect of modern testing history, I think that video series for Playwright, both Cypress for it was Selenium Playwright and then Cypress Playwright and then Cypress Playwright Rematch. all throughout the testing community, people still harken back to that series. And I see that as a pivotal moment in Playwright's trajectory. Because before that, you look at Playwright growth, it was like do, 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 do. After the Playwright series, it went do, 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 do. I mean, we saw that in NPM downloads. We saw that in TAU courses. We saw that in Applitools SDK downloads and usage, right? And in the number of tests running in Applitools environment using the different SDKs. And so it's like it wasn't just anecdotal people talking about it. We had real data to back up. Like there was an inflection point at that moment in time, and it was really cool to be part of that. But at the same time, like I think after having done that series, I don't think I would want to do it again. I don't think I would want to repeat that, even with like, feature updates between Cypress and Playwright and Selenium since that time. Because towards the end of that series, people in the community were becoming a little upset by it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing was they didn't like this idea of tools like trying to battle each other, like trying to one up each other, like one is better than the other. And of course, if you were in the camp of the tool that lost, that was very hard to hear. I received a lot of flack publicly being like, why are you doing this? You're discrediting the work that this project is doing and you're not representing it well and da da da. I'm just like, first of all, I was like, hold on, people. I'm just doing my job because I'm working at Applitools right now. It's their webinar. I'm in this whether I want to or not, right?
Yeah.
I was chosen to be the Playwright person. I was told. I didn't volunteer for this, right? Hold on, I'm doing my job. But I mean, there was some injury to the community, but the people who were upset about this did have a point, because in some sense these aren't always apples to apples comparisons, right? Like Selenium is a browser automation engine, very low level, right? It will automate the browser for you, but it doesn't give you all the bells and whistles. So if you're going to stack it up against Cypress or Playwright that are all-in-one full frameworks that do have all the bells and whistles, of course it's going to come up short. What did you expect?
Yes.
Right. And so there's a feeling that it was kind of like a setup, and plus there was some bad blood between these leaders in these different tools and communities that was already pre-existing that we stepped on like a landmine. And so like after we did the last one, the Playwright Cypress rematch, I'm like, I am done with this. And I think at the time, Applitools, I think we Applitools should be done with this. Let's try to elicit this information in better ways, in more constructive ways, and healthier ways.
Yes.
So,
sorry for the interruption. I just want to say that, in my personal opinion, I really enjoy these battles, because I think that a big problem for all the testers is to choose a tool, right? To choose the better tool, because not all the people knowing the differences between one and another tool. In this kind of content, this series, it helps you to understand, oh, this is better for my problem because I'm facing this, and I just noticed that the tool that I'm using probably it's not going to fix the solution. So you could save a lot of time but with this information, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's absolutely a place for that kind of cross comparison in a fair and objective way, or as objective as it can be. Like I've given a talk where I do that in like a half an hour. I compare Selenium, Cypress, Playwright, and I do my best to fairly show the pros and cons. Inevitably, at the end, I always say which one is my preferred, because everybody wants to know anyway. That's the juicy tea. What do you want? Of course, I'm going to be like, I would choose Playwright. I'm unabashed about that. But I also can stand on grounds to say they're all good for different reasons. And I wouldn't just blanketly say you should use Playwright, period. There are times and places you would use the others given your situation. And in projects that I've worked on teams I've consulted with, like I have been very upfront about that, where it's like I've led to decisions being made to use tools other than Playwright because of reasons, right? And I've worked deeply in all three of these, so I feel like I actually have the expertise to come in and speak to all three fairly. Whereas, some people, they might have a lot of words to say and spew a lot of hot air, but if they've only ever been in one camp, it's like, okay, so how much do you really know about the other side of the fence? Then why should we listen to you when you're touting the thing that you know?
Yeah, so I think that the people will take these advices that you are providing just to benefit of them. So I think that the information must be public and shared with all the people, and this is great. I'm really enjoying this conversation. And right now, following this topic about also tools and test automation, we are in the AI area, right? So how do you think AI will impact test automation processes?
I'm hoping it makes things better.
Faster, right?
Well,
I'm saying faster. Sorry for the interruption. I'm saying faster because I'm taking AI like an accelerator, not like the final solution for any problem, right? Just to make faster your job, but you need to be there to validate the final result, to applying adjustments and whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we are finally at the point where we can develop meaningful features backed by AI technologies that aren't just gimmicky. Like for the longest time, all these testing vendors were like, we have self-healing locators. And I'm like, that's garbage. I'm sorry, hot take. But seriously, like that's not the whole, doesn't really help. Whatever. Fine. There's little gimmicky things like that people have been touting for the longest time as like that's what the promise of AI is. Like no. I think once we figure out the critical ways that AI can help accelerate our workflow, like you said, that's where we're going to make some big gains, right? I want to see AI automate the mechanical aspects of the full testing process so that humans can be empowered to handle the more human aspects of quality and testing. And another thing that I want to see is AI helping in the full process of testing and automation. Right now, it seems like most of the tools, the vendors, the focus has been on the execution of automation, right? That's where the AI is really trying to come in. Like, hey, your scripts are doing something and we're going to like help it do it better. Or like we're going to have an auto healing and self healing locator and automatic rerun and analysis of your results and all that. But the test development process is not just automation, it's discovery, formulation, automation, right? Figuring out what are the behaviors in our system that we ought to be testing. How do we capture those behaviors in a testable way? That's formulation. And then automation is let's go run them and get the results and make sure it's actually meeting expectation, right? We haven't seen a whole lot of focus on the other areas, but we've all suffered through them. And in fact, they tend to be the most painful parts of the test development process. I think AI tools are going to be able to really help us with discovery and formulation and make the humans do that work faster, better, more accurately.
Exactly.
Because we've already mastered the execution of tests, like whoop-de-doo. Right.
Yes, I agree. I think that there are a lot of things to discover with AI. I think that this is just the beginning. Well, actually, if we talk about it terms, AI has been here from many years ago, right? But right now, we are having a good progress with AI, and I'm pretty sure that in a couple years it will be even better. Well, I think that that will be all for this video, for this podcast. Andy, thank you so much to be here. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope to I don't know, continue with the second part maybe of
Sure.
this conversation, because I think that all these hints and advices that you provided to the audience, it's are very valuable. And well, before go, could you please share your social media so more people can follow your work?
Sure, absolutely. So the easiest way to find me is to just Google the phrase Automation Panda. You Google that phrase, you will find me. I've got my blog at automationpanda.com. I'm on Twitter, X, whatever the cool kids call it now, at Automation Panda, one word. I'm on LinkedIn. I mean, that's a little hard because my name, Andrew Knight's pretty common. But if you find the other things, you'll find me on LinkedIn. And if you want to check out any of my content, again, just Google my name or Google Automation Panda. You will find so many videos from all over the place, articles I've written for other people. It's out there. Test Automation University. I have my courses out there that I've published on that platform. So yeah, that's how you can reach me.
Awesome. And I suggest to take those courses. I'll do it. So that's it. Thank you, Tester, for watching this video, and see you in the next one. See
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.